Hi everybody, Patrick here from I Help with Macs. I've got a really cool tip for all of you iPhone users today. When I first received an iPhone as an Apple employee years and years and years ago, I absolutely fell in love with the device, and I haven't used a cell phone since then. And one thing that's become really obvious to those of us who are iPhone users is when we're on a train, when we're on a plane, when we're in a group of friends, we realize when someone is using an iPhone. Now, why is that? Because there's only certain rings that the iPhone can actually use, certain ringtones. And there's been quite a bit of business, only in the past few years, selling ringtones through other companies and through iTunes and things like that. It's become really popular for you to find your favorite song or your favorite movie quote online, pay a couple bucks, and then make that your ringtone. Well, we actually don't have to pay for that at all. There's software that comes built into our Mac. GarageBand is one of those pieces of software, and iTunes, which probably almost all of you are familiar with. And these pieces of software allow us to create and manage and use our very own ringtones on our devices, specifically on the iPhone. And this is something that I've found to be extremely helpful. For instance, when my phone rings, I know it's my iPhone. Why? Because my phone sounds like this. Okay? So when I'm in a group of friends, and I live in New York City, and I live around, or I associate with people who are pretty tech savvy or just like having nice devices, I always know when it's my iPhone that's ringing because I hear, okay? I know that's my phone. Now you get extra points if you're watching this movie, watching this clip, and you realize that that's a quote from one of my favorite movies out there, The Big Lebowski. It's John Goodman yelling at Steve Buscemi, named Donnie, all right, way to go Donnie, while he's bowling. Now, this is really fun for me to have. It's become a really amazing tool for me to know when my phone is ringing. And as a matter of fact, if I'm sitting in a group of people and my phone starts to ring, they'll hear, all right, and then they'll all finish the quote. Way to go, Donnie. They know it's my phone, so there's no confusion. But I started to realize that still, that became just one ringtone for me. And I wanted to have a specific ringtone for my wife. Or maybe for you, it's your boss, or your parents, or your significant other. When they call, you want them to have their own ringtone as well. So I created one for her.
It's Teresa. It's Teresa.
Okay? This is my wife's ringtone. I know it's her calling. Now, how did I create these? You'll hear, you hear the movie quote in there, you hear songs. Well, I used GarageBand for the whole thing. And I didn't use any special trick or any special magic to make that happen. I'm using software that's built right into my Mac to create something very practical for my everyday life. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and move my mouse right down here to the dock and click on GarageBand. But before I do that, remember, GarageBand's built into your Mac. Where do we find it? Well, let me just go the long way so you can see exactly how a GarageBand is found. We go right up here to our hard drive, we double click. You're thinking to yourself, well Patrick, I never go to my hard drive to open things. I just go ahead and click right down here on the dock on the Finder. It's all the same. I'm just showing you the long way so you can see how your Mac kind of fits together. So I double click on the hard drive. Right there I see my applications folder. I click, and if I scroll down a couple of sections, I'll eventually see, like I said, GarageBand. I double click, and when I start a new project, it's asking me what kind of project do you want to create. Now, we can start from any one of these specific templates here. I could just go to keyboard collection, songwriting, movie. We're actually going to use the movie template today, but don't feel like you have to pick the right thing here. I have all kinds of options. No matter which one I pick, we can still create what we're about to create, a ringtone in GarageBand. Now I want to show you how to create a ringtone out of a movie quote. Why? Because it's very detailed, and I don't like making movies that just say, well, I like making movies that say, here's a quick trick for you, but I also like making these videos and these tutorials that show you a few tricks and a long strand of tricks that get you a really cool product in the end. So I'm going to get really detailed here. I'm not just going to make a ringtone. I'm going to open a movie clip in GarageBand, extract the audio, cut the audio down, and make my very own customizable ringtone. Why? Because there's lots of steps involved, and you might learn something along the way. So I'm going to double click here on movie, and it asks me, what do I want to name my project? Now, while I'm naming this, I'm going to go ahead and get out of this Finder window here. I'm going to name this Ringtone number 1. Now, you can name it anything you want, and I'm going to save it on my desktop. Create. Now, all this information down here, you can just ignore it for now. We're going to create. So, GarageBand opens up, and notice that my media browser is already opened up here. This is where I'm going to actually find the movie or find the audio clip that I want to use to create my ringtone in GarageBand. You'll notice up here I see in my media browser photos, audio. I can go to audio here. I can see my entire iTunes library, and I can drag and drop a song from my iTunes library, crop it down to a certain section, and use that as my ringtone. But we're going to use a movie today, like I said, just to be a little bit more detailed. So I can see all the movies inside of iTunes. You're thinking to yourself, well, what if I have a movie that's not in iTunes that I want to use? You can add almost any type of movie file to iTunes. And if it's not the type of movie file that iTunes likes to work with, you can convert things and change things and save things differently. That might be another tutorial for another day. Now, I really love the show Curb Your Enthusiasm, and you'll notice I have an episode of it right here. I can just simply drag and drop, and notice before I drop here, notice it's already got a movie track there because we said we wanted to work with a movie in GarageBand. Okay, so I can just simply click and drag that movie file right on top of this movie track here. See where it's showing you that little plus sign? That means I'm going to add something. You'll see that plus sign pop up a lot inside of GarageBand. So I let go, or sorry, not only in GarageBand, but inside of your Mac in general, you'll see that plus sign. So what it does is GarageBand sees that movie file, and it's now looking at all the parts of that movie that it's going to have to work with for you to get your ringtone created. So it's importing that movie, and it's actually converting it to, the type of information it wants to work with. And then it'll show you not only the movie track, but it will also show you the audio track underneath it. Now that's the track we're really going to work with today. Ringtones are not visual, ringtones deal with audio. So in a second, right below this movie track, you're going to see an audio track as well. That's what we're going to spend our time working with today. So we'll see it in just a second here. Now, once it pops up, I want to show you just one more thing. What if you're looking at your GarageBand, but you can't find the movie because you've got hundreds of movies inside of iTunes to work with, and you just know what it's called, but you can't find it? Remember that in almost every Apple application, there's this little magnifying glass that can be seen somewhere, in Address Book, in Mail, in Safari, in iTunes, in GarageBand as well. And if I'm looking for a Curb Your Enthusiasm video, I can just simply click here and type in Curb. And then it shows me everything where the name Curb is involved. Now watch this. I'm going to go ahead and tap my spacebar to listen to this audio and watch this movie from the beginning. Why would I tap my spacebar? Why can't I just come down here and push play? I can, but when you're dealing with Apple applications, or most applications that are made for a Mac, when you're dealing with audio or video or media that can be stopped or started, the spacebar is almost always your stop-start shortcut key. So I tap my spacebar, and GarageBand will start playing my movie. Okay, so let me just do that one more time. I can click the play button, and there it goes. Or I can just simply tap my spacebar, and it also starts as well. Now listen, here's the theme music. That's what I want to use as a ringtone. So you know what I'm going to do? I don't need to use this movie track here, because movies can't be ringtones. I click here, I tap my delete key, and nothing happens. I actually have to use a shortcut key here. I actually have to hold down my command key when this track is selected, and you'll see it's selected here. Okay. I have to hold down my command key and then tap my delete key. Now it's going to say, are you sure you want to get rid of this movie track? Yes, I do. Delete. And now the audio does not disappear. Now let's say you're looking at this audio and you're saying, I want to create a ringtone out of it. I go right up here to share, and I select send this ringtone to iTunes. Easy as that. But we're going to run into a problem. GarageBand's going to say, this ringtone is too long. It needs to be adjusted. So what I do is I say, okay, cool, you got me, GarageBand. I'll go ahead and adjust that audio link. Adjust. Now it automatically puts this little yellow bar at the top of your GarageBand interface here, which we're actually looking at what's called the arrange area or the arrange window. And I can drag this bar left and right. I also have the ability to make this bar longer or shorter. Now let's get real. What is this bar called? It's called the cycle region. And it can actually, not even when we're creating ringtones, but just in GarageBand in general, this cycle region can be turned on and off by clicking this little icon here. Now see, watch, as I click it, that yellow bar will appear and disappear. Now watch what happens when I push play. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to make this little yellow bar very, very short. Watch what happens when I push play or tap my space bar. Cycle. Hence the term, or hence the name, cycle region. Whatever area I have selected with that little bar, it will cycle through over and over and over again. Okay? So let's select the area of this audio here, which technically this is called, this big blob here where all this audio is found. It's called a region. Let's select the area of this region that we want to deal with. From here to about there. Now, let me tap my space bar. That works for me. That's going to be a really nice ringtone. I move up to the share window. I select send ringtone to iTunes. I've got it cropped down to the exact portion that I want to send to iTunes. I click. It starts creating a mixdown. It's going to actually open iTunes automatically. And then you'll see iTunes, if you don't have this there already, okay, it's going to play the song for you, or play the ringtone for you, I should say. If you don't have this library there already, it will create a ringtones library for you. Click, and then you'll see ringtone number 1. Now, if I were to plug my iPhone into my Mac, it would show up inside of, and you don't see it here because my iPhone isn't plugged in. Maybe I should have plugged it in ahead of time. But you'll see your iPhone listed over here under a section called Devices. And then, depending on how you've set up your iPhone, I manually update, which is something we might be able to talk about a little bit later in another tutorial. I can just simply click and drag this ringtone right onto my phone. Isn't that great? So now, when I open up my phone, I can change an individual contact's ringtone or my entire phone's ring to the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song. Now, I like the show, I like the actors. That's now my ringtone. Now, I'm going to just give a little disclaimer here. What are the legal ramifications of doing this? I have no idea. Okay? But this is something that if we own media, or even if we create something in GarageBand on our own, which is something we should totally talk about at another time, we can just simply create our own ringtones. Very often people think that they have to go through these technical processes and buy extra software to make sure, to create ringtones that they like. It's not the case. I mean, my brother on his iPhone, he recently showed me, hey, I paid for this app on my iPhone. Now, it was about 99 cents, but it will just take the songs from your iPhone's iTunes library and create a ringtone out of them. That's great. But even $1, I'm too cheap to pay for that when I can just do it on my own. And since there's this software built into my Mac, ready to use at no extra cost to me, I love the ability to be able to simply open up an application and start creating and make a piece of technology that a lot of people are using still personal to me. So if you have any questions about that, you can email me, ihelpwithmax@gmail.com. Feel free to check out the blog, ihelpwithmax.wordpress.com. You can also check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mr. I help with Macs. If you have any questions, if you enjoyed this tutorial, if you want to see more stuff like this, or if there's something you want to learn how to do, feel free to send me an email, contact me. I would love to show you some really cool tips and tricks. Other than that, I'm Patrick. I hope this helped. I hope this was fun for you today, and I will see you next time. Have a good day.